Good day, kids. Are you ready to learn how to multiply fractions? Multiplying fractions is one of the easier operations when working with fractions. There's no worrying about finding a common denominator, you just have to know your multiplication facts. Let's check it out. In this example, 1/2 times 3/5. We will multiply two very simple proper fractions and apply the 3 steps. Step 1. Multiply the numerators. 1 times 3 is 3. Step 2. Multiply the denominators. 2 times 5 is 10. And step 3. Simplify the fraction if needed. Since it is already simplified, therefore the answer is 3/10. This method works pretty well if the numerators and denominators of your fractions are relatively small. When you start working with larger numbers in the numerator and denominator, then we can simplify within the problem before multiplying. And this allows us to not have simplify larger numbers in the end. Here's what I mean. Take a look. 10/20 times 5/8. Step 1. Find any numerator and denominator that have common factor. Divide each by common factor. Both 10 and 20 have a common factor of 10. Therefore, we can divide them by 10. 10 divided by 10 is 1, and 20 divided by 10 is 2. Note that the numerator and denominator do not have to be part of the same fraction. It can be from different fraction. Later you will see how it is done. Going back to what we are solving. Multiply using your new simplified fractions. 1 times 5 is 5 and 2 times 8 is 16. Thus, the final product is 5/16. Now given the same example, let's try another method where the numerator and denominator that have a common factor are not contained in the same fraction. Pay careful attention to the first and second steps when multiplying this set of fractions. First, find any numerator and any denominator that have a common factor. Divide each by common factor. 10 and 8 both have a common factor of 2. So 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. Then look for another numerator and denominator that have a common factor. Divide each by common factor. 20 and 5 both have a common factor of 5. So 20 divided by 5 is 4 and 5 divided by 5 is 1. Now multiply using your new simplified fractions. 5 times 1 is 5 and 4 times 4 is 16. One more example. This time we will multiply 3 fractions. 12/18 times 2/3 times 1/2. Again, find any numerator and any denominator that have a common factor. Divide each by a common factor. 12 and 3 have a common factor of 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4 and 3 divided by 3 is 1. 18 and 2, the common factor is 2. So let's divide both of them by 2. 18 divided by 2 is 9, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. How about the other fraction? If there is still another numerator and denominator with a common factor, regardless if they are already simplified, we can still divide them with their common factor. For example, 4 and 2 have a common factor of 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And 2 divided by 2 is 1. If there are no other numerators and denominators that have a common factor, we can proceed to the next step. Multiply all using your new simplified fractions. 2 times 1 times 1 equals 2, and 9 times 1 times 1 equals 9. As a result, the final answer is 2/9. For another example, we will multiply fraction by a whole number. 2/18 times 3. First, write the whole number as a fraction, with a denominator of 1. Why 1, and not 2, 3, 4, and so on? It is because when you divide 3 by 1, the answer is still 3, which applies also with the other whole numbers if you divide them by 1. By the way, a bar sign also indicates division. Next, simplify within the problem. Look for a numerator and denominator that have a common factor. Divide them with the common factor. It can be on the same fraction or different fraction. 2 and 18 have a common factor of 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 18 divided by 2 is 9. Again, if there are still numerator and denominator that have a common factor, divide both of them by its common factor. In this case, the common factor of 9 and 3 is 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 3 divided by 3 is 1. Then let's multiply using your new simplified fractions. 1 times 1 is 1. And 3 times 1 is 3. Therefore, the final answer is 1/3. And for the last example, let's multiply mixed numbers. 4 and 4/5 times 3 and 1/3. To do this, change first the mixed numbers into improper fractions. 5 times 4 is 20. 20 plus 4 is 24. Take note that in this process the denominator will remain or not change. Next, 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 1 is 10. Just like before, look for a numerator and a denominator that have a common factor. It can be on the same fraction or different fraction. Then divide them with the common factor. 24 and 3 can be divided by 3. 24 divided by 3 is 8, and 3 divided by 3 is 1. Another is 5 and 10 can be divided by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. Then, let's multiply. 8 times 2 is 16, and 1 times 1 is 1. If the denominator is 1, therefore, the final answer is 16. There you have it. I hope you've learned something today. If you like our discussion, click like and subscribe. Thank you, and see you again next time.